Welcome to Everything Mental Health with your hosts, Chris Weeks and Maureen Edwards.
So I wanted to maybe continue on with this discussion on healthy relationships and maybe talk about communication. One of the things that I've noticed in counseling, especially when couples or families come in for counseling, it's always about communication.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas one person can't seem to get their point across to somebody else, or they don't feel heard. There's a blockage of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
or a passing in communication, or a miscommunication, or there's some kind of communication problem. And so one of the foundational things for healthy relationships is communication.
Yes, absolutely. And I devised a term called the red bird syndrome.
Oh, what's that?
All right. Now picture two people communicating in an intimate relationship, and one person says, "Oh, today I saw a red bird in the park," and the other one goes, "Oh, really?" And let's just say that that's the extent of the conversation, but the other person interprets that as a woodpecker, and what the communicator meant was a red cardinal. And so time goes by, and the other person, the first communicator, says, remember that day, that story I told you about the red bird? And the receiver of that information goes, "Oh, you mean the woodpecker?" And the person responds, "No, not the woodpecker, the red cardinal." And the other person says, "Well, no, I thought it was a woodpecker." And so it goes back and forth. "Well, why did you think it was a woodpecker?" "Well, because you said it was." "No, I didn't. I said it was a red bird." And and then it goes right. And then finally the communicator says, "No, it was a red cardinal." And then the other person says, "But you didn't say it was a red cardinal. You just said it was a red." And so back and forth, and there's a misunderstanding throughout. Right. Where each person is assuming that the other understands what is being said. And yes. Right?
Well, yes, and that's the cardinal rule in communication.
Interesting.
Is to never assume, because
exactly.
Our assumptions are probably wrong.
Yep.
90% wrong or more.
Yeah.
Because we're coming, like, as the person that's receiving the information,
mm-hmm.
We're interpreting it, just like you said, from our own perspective, from whatever is going on in our mind and whatever our memories are, reference points are.
Right.
And that's not maybe what the other person is saying. Maybe
exactly.
It is, but most of the time it's not. So one of the things that I always tell people is to make sure that you clarify what is being said to you, just so that you know that you're on the same page. Because, like you said, time can go on. This one person thinking it's a woodpecker, this one person's thinking it's a cardinal, and that person is assuming it from each other's point of view.
Exactly.
And it's not true.
Yeah. And so imagine when it's someone is thinking, it's a more important or more intimate communication that's taking place, and someone is sharing some heartfelt information or something of that nature, and the other is assuming that they're understanding what's being said.
Yes.
And the whole story is now being built and distorted at the same time.
Yes.
And unless there's some clarity, so clarifying questions, what did you mean when you said this? When you said it was a red bird, did you mean a woodpecker? Did you mean a robin? Did you mean a red? So
what kind of bird?
What kind of bird was it? And the other is then able to to explain, well, it was this kind of bird, and this is what it was doing, and the other says, oh, well, that's very interesting, and or back and forth where there's questions may need to be asked.
Yes.
And also what sometimes happens in that questioning sometimes is that the other person may actually become frustrated, can become frustrated in terms of, well, are you not understanding what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be a willingness to be open to the communication, and the willingness to clarify
Yes.
what is being said, and mirroring also, where the receiver is able to mirror what the communicator is saying. So even repeating.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that can be just repeating, oh, did you mean this?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can say something to somebody and they say, oh, exactly, I understand. But do they?
Right.
Maybe they do, but maybe they don't. Maybe they're understanding in a way that you're not trying to get your point across.
Exactly.
So that's called reflective listening.
Mm-hmm.
Reflective because you're mirroring back to the other person what is being said, and hopefully they can maybe parrot it back and say it, or maybe they just say it in a different way, and then you know that that's been received, and then that you can build on the conversation, but at least you know that you're on the same page. That's, I think, the most fundamental thing in relationship communication.